Welcome to Old Guys Still Rock. Super grateful you gave us a look or a listen. We specifically developed this podcast for friends or soon to be friends who are in the 40 plus category. This podcast is a platform to not only have your voices be heard, but also for others who are going through the same thing and know that they too aren't alone. Our topics may be business, topics may be entrepreneurship, our topics may be social, or our topics may be just everyday life. Whatever it is, we hope that you give it a share and leave us a comment. But most of all, if you want your voice to be heard, please leave us a comment on how to get a hold of you so you too can be an old guy that still rocks and help build our community. Until we speak again, stay safe, but most of all, God bless. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. If this is your first time here, I'm Blair Armstrong, and on my right is Brent Wright. We are Old Guys Still Rock. This is episode number 56. We're a little bit early, but when you see this, it'll probably be the same day that we normally record, but both of us have some stuff going on. Brent is on the road enhancing his one of many businesses today, so here we are. So again, I'm Blair Armstrong. I'm of Team Armstrong Coldwell Banker. I'm located in the Coachella Valley. I am a global luxury specialist in the world of residential real estate. And I said on my right is Brent Wright of Brent Wright Incorporated. He is a man with many hats that he's built up over many years from no, that's so he wore so many. He wore so many hats. He wore his hair off.
Yep.
So from property management to body shops to computer fixing. I know there's a better word for that. IT.
Yeah.
And also payroll. And him and his wife now is their newest venture is a wellness center. But he's located in beautiful Eugene, Oregon. But today I think he's in LA.
Yeah, I'm an hour and a half from you, buddy.
All right. So close, but so far away.
Yep. I tried to actually get a flight out to you or something. Or there's a shuttle that runs out there, but they only run once a day.
Of course. No one wants to come out when it's 135,000 degrees outside.
It's supposed to be like 90 here today, so it's crazy.
Yeah, it'll be warm because it's typically obviously closer to the ocean, the more humidity we have. But we're in the depths of it out here. It's can probably be about 108, 110 today, with a low of about 83. So super comfortable. and I'm already sick of wearing shorts. So today I wore pants. Not that anybody cares. So anyway, we got to get right into it because we got a lot of stuff going on today. Brent's got some big meetings today. I have some big meetings today. So here we go. But you asked me a couple of days ago, or actually maybe last night, kind of what are you thinking about talking? And obviously with a constant evaluation of where I was and where I'm going and what I want to become, something stuck out to me in a great book by John Maxwell, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. It's an oldie but goldie. Yeah, I think I'm on my fourth read on this.
Nice.
But one thing that stuck out with me, haven't done this in a while, and you brought this up, and it's kind of a different version of it, but talked about, looking at yourself in the mirror for like 3 minutes and just really evaluating who you are. I think that is one of the steps that's super important. It's hard to do, but you're evaluating yourself. And one thing that stuck out to me is, when's the last time that we actually did a character check on ourselves, right? Because here's my thoughts, and before I go down this long laundry list, because I want to get your insight on this. We can look what's surrounding us with reality TV, with influencers, with business people, just in other relationships, be it watching a husband and wife from afar or whatever, or boyfriend, girlfriend. I'm like, God, I'm just so much better than them. Are you?
Yeah.
Because, and that's the question. And it possibly could be. I don't know, but I know that's the way that I start looking at stuff. And I know I have a long ways to go. So let me just preface this. For your first timers here, we are not telling you what to do. This is just how we evaluate ourselves. And sometimes we want to share our experiences. So maybe that you can do that the same thing or give us some feedback. So
Mm-hmm.
What say you on that? Here I am watching all this stuff. I feel like I'm pretty good compared to most people, but is my character in check? Because I know that I'm not like everybody else, and that's the way it's supposed to be. But when I'm checking my character against people that may be less than me, I feel pretty good about myself. But somebody, you, for instance, a good friend of mine for, almost 30 years, you could look at me and like, dude, what are you freaking doing? So what say to you when you start feeling, I mean, do you feel that way?
Oh,
You
yeah.
have people around you that feel that way?
So the universe and the spirit is in alignment here. So I went to my business partner's church. He is a devout, um, Orthodox, Coptic Catholic. So all their services are in 3 or 4 different languages. When I'm here, I go and I'm trying to learn more about other um, divisions of religion. Of course, they're still Christian. They still believe in Jesus like we do and all those things. But the talk, it was a talk to college kids in their church. And the talk was about um, lightly character, but it was not how do you react or how do you act all the time. It's how do you react when something happens to you. So the talk was about looking in the mirror, just no different. I mean, you and I haven't talked about this. You sent me a text last night,
right?
And this kind of all came into alignment. So it was about an hour talk, really good talk to a bunch of college kids about how they are reacting. Are they reacting in good character to people and situations that are coming at them? Are they acting like Jesus? Maybe, but are they reacting like Jesus would? So again, we're not a religious podcast, but we have our beliefs, and we love to share them with anybody who's willing to listen. And so the couple of things that came to mind during that talk in my head was Matthew. Don't look at the speck in your eye when or don't look at the speck in your neighbor's eye when you have a boulder in yours, right? And it's in different context for different versions of the Bible. It talks about the twig and the stick, or the stick and the log, right? Or the pebble and the boulder. But really, it's about when somebody does something to you or something happens to you that you are unexpected to have happen to you. How do you react? Are you reacting in character of really what you believe and how you feel you should act on a daily basis? Or is your reaction more in alignment with the world the way it is today? Right. And so the talk was on if somebody wrongs you, do you react like Jesus? Do you guide them and coach them and try to teach them in a way that allows them to teach themselves, right? By asking questions, by asking them about their character and asking them if your character reflects the character that you're asking them to reflect on, right? Or are you more apt to go down the road of reprisal? Are you more apt to go down the road of retaliation? Are you more apt to go down the road of double wronging them, if you will, talking bad about them to peer groups, things like that? It was more aligned with a college group of kids. So I'm kind of paraphrasing some of this because these situations were like, if you see them acting out against what the church's teachings are and things like that. Again, it was more, church-centered talk, but the message was the exact same as that we're talking about today. And so I try to evaluate my character on a regular basis because I want to be transparent, not only with myself, but with my peer group, with my kids, with my wife. It's the toughest thing to admit to your children that you're wrong, because you're supposed to be the all-knowing, all-guiding, right?
Right.
But when you do that, it changes the dynamic in the conversation with them and the respect factor, I believe.
Yeah, I think that, it's spot on, because it's funny that everything that you just said, I have notes written down here. And I think that kind of coincides. So checking your character, right? When's the last time that we evaluated our character? And it could come in many different ways, the way that you evaluate it. But one thing that you said to it is, if you're getting feedback stuff, are you reacting? Are you acting on it or reacting on it? Right. Mm-hmm. So the question is if someone's giving you feedback, I think that's one thing that, again, this is going to be a learning session for me. And when my wife watches, it's like, wow, that sounds pretty familiar.
That's why it's Therapy Thursdays, but
Therapy
today it's on Wednesday.
Yeah. It's Wisdom Wednesday today.
Wisdom Wednesday. I like that. Good call. Good call.
There you go. But anyway, so you sit there and like, okay, here's a challenge for you guys. And this is a challenge for Brent and I and everybody who watches this. Doing a character check. It's going up to maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 people that you know, like, and trust, that are always going to give you solid feedback, and saying, here are my core values, blah, 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 and write them down. If I give this to you, do you feel that my character resembles my core values? And ask them this. Well, this is good. Well, this is suffering. This is good. Now, the hard part about this is, and this is coming from me, is that sometimes now we become reactionary. Mm-hmm. Well, I do this, this, and this, which justifies this, this, and it. No, you just ask for advice. So what we have to, as men, big, strong guys, no one's going to tell me what to do. And I'm 55 years old. I'm 45 years old. I'm 60 years old. I'm 75 years old. I'm stuck in my ways, and this has always worked. Has it? Mm-hmm. Has it? Because I'm still finding out the ways that I grew up with and the things that I've absorbed over time. Sometimes they just don't work out anymore, and you have to change. But the point I'm trying to make is what we read in this stuff. And I'm like, okay, so you get this feedback and you have to sit here. And I think you and I talked about this. You have to absorb it, not react.
As painful as it is.
And like, oh my gosh, of all the things to sit there and absorb it, and then go back and say, you know what? Okay, they said this, they said this, they said this. And be honest with yourself. Is this valid? Can you go back and look at them like, yeah, I can kind of see where that got evaluated. It's going to be hard. It's going to be easy. I'm going to put myself through it. I'm putting myself through it right now. And actually just kind of went through it, right? We have gone through some stuff with, some health issues on that I felt like I was like, okay, I'm doing the laundry, I'm doing the dishes, I'm taking the dogs out, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And it's like, you have to give me some grace. Do they? Do they have to give me grace? Is that, have I reacted the right way when things aren't going the right way? Because just because you're doing one thing doesn't justify another, right? And so I think that's a hard part. So when you do get that feedback, you want to say, da, 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 da. Mm-hmm. It's not the point. This is what the other person's seeing. This is this is what you told me, your core values, and that's where it's faulting. So it's not, hey, you're an a-hole, but this is where you might want to make some adjustments, because we are an example, right? We're an example to our spouses. We're an example to our colleagues. We're an example to our community. There's so many different things. And it's very hard as we get older in age, because it's real easy to say, don't worry, they're just set in their ways.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to give you a tool.
Okay.
I like to have tools. I like to have cheat codes. I'm not much of a video gamer, but in the video game world, the cheat codes are where you make the magic, right? So I'm old enough to know that Mario, like, if you got to the right pipe, you could go all the way down and go clear to the end and hang out with the princess, right? So yeah. This is a pretty good cheat code. So a wise friend of mine gave me this a number of years ago, and I've struggled to implement it, and I'm implementing it more today than I did a year ago or 5 years ago or 10 years ago, but I could stand to implement it a little bit more. So good reminder for myself as well. When somebody is coming at you, whether you provoked or not, provoked meaning not in a bad way, but you ask them, hey, can you please judge me? Right? Because that's what you just did. You just said, hey, these are my core values. Can you judge me and tell me what, where I'm falling short? But if you're in a situation to where you didn't ask that of somebody and they're judging you anyways, or evaluating you and haven't asked permission, the first thing you feel like doing is like what you said, is like, really? I just did all these things, but we talked about this before in prior podcasts. Your job as a man is to be everything to everyone. And when you're not, the world will let you know. Usually with force. And in a way that's really uncomfortable, right? So the cheat code is simple. Is when you're talking with somebody and they're upset with you and they're calling you out and they're telling you you're not holding up your end of the bargain, the first thing you want to do is react. And your reaction should be more of a stoic chess move type reaction. And that the cheat code is, tell me more. Simple sentence, 3 words, tell me more. It disarms them and allows them to talk, vent or otherwise, and they know that you're open to hearing it, so they're going to talk more. The second thing it does is emotionally, it disarms you. And that's where the cheat code is, because you need to be able to disarm yourself. And when you can't, you need to have these cheat codes that help you disarm yourself. Tell me more. You just asked them to tell you more, right? So permission, more permission.
You and I just went through this a couple of days ago with an incident that happened with one of our team members. And I got reactionary. There's different things that when I get, just like I would with a spouse, but when something happens regarding my my beliefs, my faith, and that hits a different chord with me. And I got reactionary, and I'm like, okay, dude, how am I going to handle this? I went to you, right? I called you, which was different. I typically text you like, hey, I'm like, no, dude, I need to hear what this out to. I went to Rissy, and I got some wisdom, right? And it really took me back. And I think I waited pretty much 24, 36 hours before I even approached the subject. And I just so I approached it saying, what did you mean by this? What's the thing? And they gave me their side. There were some valid points into that. I didn't have to agree with them, but they had validity in what they were saying. We could have peeled back the onion and said, well, you could do this, and this. But they had their thoughts. And once we actually had communication, I listened to their side, which again, as I said, there was validity to it. And they got some clarity in a roundabout way. Well, I could see how that may be taken the wrong way. I don't like the concept, but not what I said is, instead of, we talked about this a little bit, stop posting memes and start posting solutions. I don't think that whatever you want to post on Instagram is bad, but sometimes maybe say it with some explanation, and that will give a lot of clarity, transparency, what we've talked about a little bit earlier about your feelings behind it. It's really easy to throw something up there. I'm like, yeah, I told them. Did you? And then like, why would you say that? And they're like, well, this is why I meant by that. Well, that's not what was transpired, or that's not the way that I read it. Same thing with like when I text you.
Yeah.
Like, okay, dude.
Context, right? I need context.
I'm calling you. What are you meaning behind this? Because what sounds good in my head, it may not sound good in others. The point I'm trying to make is it's character building instead of what Brent was talking about. Instead of becoming reactionary, it's becoming actionary. Like, okay, this is what I said, but this is what I meant. And without that without that last part,
Mm-hmm.
things could get twisted. You see this all the time in today's media. You
Yeah.
take an expert and like, see what they said? Well, what's the other 45 seconds or 45 minutes of that 3 words?
Well, and in today's society with texting, right, and writing social media posts and stuff, punctuation and grammar makes a difference. I don't know if you've
Right.
seen that one where if you write a sentence a certain way, it means one thing, and the same exact words with different punctuation mean something completely different. And so that's why context is the key, and no different than when I'm talking with my kids and they react. I ask them, "What are we trying to solve? Do you feel that your actions are a good response to this, to what you're trying to solve? And then how can I help you?" And you slow it down. You got to slow the process down. That's a pretty good key to the situation too. No different than what I told you. Wait, I know it's an 8-second society, and you want to react. You want to say something in 8 seconds, but wait, let it boil down. Try and figure out where it is they're coming from, and then ask the question. Tell me more.
And I think that's great too. I actually was just listening to Vaughn the Impaler today, and I hear this more and more and more. I'm kind of getting away from Instagram and kind of getting away from Facebook. What you just said, it's an 8-second society, and that's what we've gotten used to, right? It's little sound bites and sound bites, and it's like, okay, well, just what I said. That's deciding what your character is and all those different things. And I think this is why we've kind of done this podcast. These are our thoughts. Here's our meaning behind it. Now, you may not agree with that, but at least we got an explanation instead of just posting, go make a damn difference, do this, whatever, here's a prayer that I put out to it. So these are just the explanations why we continue to do what we're doing. And the YouTubes and the Spotifys or whatever we end up doing to go ahead and get this message out just gives us explanation. And a lot of times, we said now we're episode number 56 on this. If you go back and listen to every single episode, I promise you can hear a common thread, and it's a constant reevaluation of who we are as people, not getting locked up. Well, an influencer did this, or a sports hero did this, or did you see how they reacted to this? So, and then going back to the very beginning for me as well, one of the challenges that I hope that whoever's watching this today, and when you watch this, is write down your core values.
Yep.
Value each one. How do you feel about them? Or maybe do a scale from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, whatever scale that you like on that. And then go back, as I said, to find 3 or 4 or 5 people that you really know that's going to give you honest opinion and say, you know what, here are my core values. How would you evaluate me? And again, ask questions on those and then go back to it. And it doesn't have to be a change overnight. Remember, this is a constant. We're chasing perfection and settling in on excellence, which we said time and time again on here. So you're sitting there like, okay, I'm going to work on this and maybe put that on your power list, right? And if you don't know what power list is,
and if you don't know what core values are, reach out.
We got a problem. We got a problem if you don't have.
A lot of people don't write them down, dude. Like they think them in their head, right? Like they believe that these are my core values, but their core values change.
Absolutely.
Because they're not written down. They're not posted anywhere on their wall or, things like that are friendly reminders. It's their core values are swaying like a tree in the wind. And it's not that they're trying to be bad people. It's that they don't have consistency. Write them down.
And you're not going to hit every one of them all the time. There's going to be lapses in that. But I think what you said is great. Are you seeing them every day, at least to keep yourself in check, right?
Yeah.
You brought up something, and I know that, with our faith, that we're not a religious podcast. We're a faith podcast, if you may. I don't like to put religion's just got such a bad context on it, and people
It
get
does.
lost, and they try to hide, like, oh, well, you're religious. Just have a relationship with God. So if you want to
Mm-hmm.
call me religious, fine. And again, that's just a lack of conversation. But going back to this, I go back to, throughout the Torah, which is the first couple, books of the Bible, and then
Mm-hmm.
go to the New Testament to back this up. And you look at, okay, these guys have great character. And I believe God appointed these guys, and they did stuff, and then they didn't keep their character in check.
Mm-hmm.
They had this God-like complex. There's people like, oh my gosh, you're the prophet, or you're this. And they forgot to say, at this point, going back to what we said, is they wouldn't like, okay, here's my stuff that I was giving. How am I doing on this? Everyone was afraid to say something at that time because that person was the king or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so they're like, well, he's the king until someone else changes. This is okay. And how that demise led to, because no one kept that character in check,
Mm-hmm.
or were scared to say it because if they said something, they were going to be killed, or their whole existence, families, culture would be wiped out, right? So we don't have to worry about that. Well, kind of, we do. There's a point in time that we could really peel back and go down an onion here, and I only have a couple minutes left to hear it anyway. But the point of it is that find those people, expand your circle, and keep evaluating your character, because if you want to, like, some really biblical, which is probably the most truthful book that is out there, you will see it time and time again with people that didn't get their character in check, how they got wiped out. And what you and I always said, we're one decision away from being underneath the bridge.
And power is a fickle mistress, right? So as you are growing, you're likely growing and or aging. Some people, don't do it as well as others, but the goal is to gain more money, assets, power, right? Because over time, that's typically what most people do. But during that, again, we've talked to some guys that have money and power and are lost, right? And so I'd almost rather be in that place, though, than be so arrogant that it becomes problematic. So again, power, if you're in that spot where you have the ability to guide, coach, boss people around, if you're a leader in any way, shape, or form, check your power at the door.
Yeah, I wish we had more time on this.
I know, right?
It's so good because it's so true with so many different things. And I think that's where we got to, is like, everyone's scared to say something because we're in this cancel culture. And if I say something, or if I check somebody on something, or I disagree with them, then I'm going to be canceled and my business is going to be ruined. I can't say this. I can't do this. It's you not saying something could be a demise to your, what do I want to call it, your core values.
Yeah.
You not saying something because now you're agreeing with, I'm siding with them because I'm so afraid of what they're going to say. You don't have to be a a-hole about it, but like, hey man, you said you were kind of this, like, you're kind of slipping here. Be a coaching about it. Don't be reactionary. Remember, be actionary about it. Don't sit there and berate them over time and time and time. And like, you're not doing this. You're not doing this. Like, I'm seeing this kind of slip a little bit. Might want to, okay, you're right. Cool. Thanks, man. I appreciate you. Or thanks, babe. I appreciate you for saying that. You're right. I totally got caught up in the moment. Because especially if you're trying to break the chains on something that you don't really like about yourself, it's real easy for those chains that are not all the way broken to fuse back together and then bind you back to that spot that you're trying desperately to get out of.
Yep.
So anyways, man, we might have to pick this up on a second episode.
I think that'd be a great idea.
So, but anyways, brother, any final thoughts for you?
I appreciate you being adaptable to my travel schedule. And I appreciate you being adaptable to my my being late. Again, like you said, evaluate your character, right?
All right.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of times where our character is a reflection of the people that we hang around with. So I think that is part of our second discussion. And so even your vendors, you know, from a business standpoint, if they're always late, probably should get some new vendors. But that's a whole nother podcast. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Go make a damn difference, and have a great rest of the week.
All right, guys, we appreciate you very much. Remember to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if this is your first time here. So when these new episodes come out, you know what's done. Until we talk to each other again next week, stay safe. But most of all, God bless, guys. We love you. Take